What is up? So today we're just gonna get into a little bit of a snippet of something I channeled. Of course. So when am I not channeling? Pretty rarely. So today we're talking about how to beguile the ego. Now, I've been using this word a lot lately. I have no idea why, but I just feel like maybe it'll spark an interest in some people, because I feel like at certain points there are certain words that people are in resonance with, and those are the individuals that are meant to receive the message. So my beguiling folks, here we is. So I channeled some information about how to beguile the ego and how to sort of placate the ego when you are in a place of wanting something, but your ego is uncertain of how to get there, and it's basically causing a disturbance in your energetic field. And this can happen at any point, especially if there's like an ego blockage or something of that nature. So let's say someone is trying to manifest, X amount of dollars, but there's like an ego blockage on that wavelength in regards to money. Let's say someone has an ego block in regards to money. Well, someone has to work hard for it, or someone has to play the lotto, or someone has to, put a whole strain on getting X amount of dollars. That would be considered an ego block. So you can still manifest that money, and an easy technique to placate the ego, to sort of get it to silence itself, to sit down and shut the fuck up and let you just manifest, is you have to beguile it by giving it some information that it already knows to play with. And so beguiling the ego from a fourth dimensional perspective, if there's a happy memory that you associate with a certain type of thing, then beguile the ego into letting it know that this is something good. This is something you want to focus on. You want to focus on that happiness, whether it happened in the past or not. So when we're talking about placating the ego with a tangible thing that it can latch onto, sort of like a dog with a bone, right? Like the ego is constantly looking for something to do. It's looking for something to compute, right? That's the purpose of the ego. Compute information, interpret it however the fuck it sees fit, and then, that's what it wants to do, right? So when the ego is being brought new information that it has no idea, like, what the fuck is about. Let's say you're trying to manifest $6 billion, let's just say, right? And you've never had $6 billion in your possession before. The ego is be like, whoa, homie, what you doing here? Like, I can't compute that. Like, where the fuck is this gonna come from? Like, what do I have to do? Like, what do I have to, it's gonna be all over the place. So what you want to do is placate it. You want to give the dog a bone to chew on, whilst you are in the 5D state manifesting the $6 billion. So we're going to separate the 3D ego mind from the fifth dimensional vantage point perspective, right? You're doing whatever you're doing in 5D. In 5D, $6 billion is already there. You already have it. You already are it, right? You are the $6 billion. The ego is like, slow your roll, buddy. Fuck you doing, right? So to appease the ego, to give it something to chew on, what you can do to alleviate that ego type of monkey mind stressful state while you're manifesting in 5D, you say, okay, here's the bone. Do you know what the bone is? The bone is you find something that the ego can relay to good fortune with money. Because remember, if you're trying to manifest whatever X amount of dollars you are, at some point in your life you had, at some point you done found a fucking dollar bill on the street in the middle of nowhere. Like, there's something that happened, right? Maybe you got lucky at a slot machine. There's something positive, whether it happened 4 years ago, 4 months ago, 14 years ago, whatever it is. Think of something positive in regards to money that you feel good about thinking about that memory. Okay, so let's say you're manifesting $6 billion, right? That's what you're doing. The 6 billion, it's slowing down, it's condensing, you know, to show itself in your physical realm environment. The ego is like, $6 billion, who the fuck you think you are? What do we do? Like, no, how am I going to do that? I have to do this. I have to go there. I have to do that. I have to, like, it's like, okay, give the dog a bone. Ego. $6 billion is very easy. $6 billion is already here. But you know what? I see that you are a little disturbed. I would like to placate you. And here's where the beguiling comes in. The bone is, let's say you go back, and here's where the 4D is going to come in, right? So we have 3D ego, we have 5D ethereal realm, and then 4D, the bridge. Remember, I always talk about 4D superhighway. The bridge betwixt the two, we're time traveling. Remember, 4D is time as well, right? We're time traveling. Right now, you're $6 billion, right? That's what it is. Higher self on board. You're like, okay, ego is like, right? 4D, right? And here's the beguiling. This is 4D, beguiling energy. It's an illusion. It's tricking the ego. It's tricking the fucking ego. It's okay to trick the ego. Shh. Okay? We're going to go back in time, right? Happy memory that the ego can compute easily, but it also has to do with what's in 5D manifesting right now. So if you were trying to manifest a lover, let's say, you would just find a memory somewhere where you felt very loved in a romantic way, because love is all like, you know, if you're trying to manifest a friendship, you're going to look for a different memory than if you're trying to manifest a lover, right? Or if you're trying to manifest a better mentality, right? When was the last time you felt really good and joyful in the moment, right? But so you're just going to pick whichever is your manifestation that you're working on in 5D. You're going to silence the ego by giving it a bone, by going in time in the 4th dimension, saying, okay, well, I have to give the ego something to play with in regards to money, because this is what we're manifesting, $6 billion. Okay, I won $1,000 when I played the slot machine 2 years ago, and I was so happy, and this is how I was feeling right before I went up to play the slot machine. This is how I felt when the money came into my hand, right? Like you're giving the ego something to chew on, and you're also preparing it, because now you're going back to that time when you won the $1,000 at the slot machine, and you're going into every aspect of that memory is like a warm-up, right? Like, well, we manifested that out of nowhere once, we could definitely do it again. It don't matter if it's $6 billion this time, right? Like it's like a warm-up. It's like you're like getting your Rocky on, right? Like you're just like, ego, we're warming up, right? Here's the bone, chew on this. This is a happy memory, right? You can compute that. Remember how we fucking felt when we won that $1,000? Remember leading up to that $1,000? I walked in like I had not a care in the world. I just pulled the arm down, 7s across the board, $1,000 came out. Like, so you're giving the ego that it's chewing on it. So if your ego attempts to try to disturb you again while you're manifesting the $6 billion, you simply take that same memory and you're like, ego, remember this? Oh, look, we're holding up a bone, right? So that's what's essentially going on, because the ego wants to constantly be busy. So if the ego wants to constantly be busy, just keep giving it the same thing to be busy about, which is that happy memory that's in relation to something that you are manifesting from the 5th dimensional standpoint. So you're like, ego, look, here you go. Remember that feeling? Because in essence, it's quieting the ego. It's giving the ego something to do that it can relate to, that it can compute, because it's a memory of an experience that you actually had. So the ego is like, oh, cool, I remember that. This is information I'm familiar with. So you placate the ego with that, but at the same time, what that's doing, now the ego is enmeshed in that happy vibration in regards to what you're manifesting. It's not, oh, how's this gonna happen? What do I have to do? Oh, I have to go here, I have to go there. Now it's like, oh, yes, that was a good memory. That memory was good. And it's like, it's chewing on that bone, okay? And it's also preparing, right? Because now the ego is getting ready, because you're like, what did we do, ego, when we went into the slot machine? We had no idea necessarily that we were going to win $1,000. We felt fairly confident maybe we'll win 50. We sat down with ease, pulled the arm of the slot machine, and whoa, $1,000. Like, so now it's like the preparation leading up. And this is also going to bridge, it's going to sort of solidify, because now your ego is getting ready for that higher realm experience that you are drawing forth to you. Because it's the build up, right? The ego likes something to look forward to, but remember, you already have it. There's nothing to build up to on the fifth dimensional plane. We're doing this to beguile the ego. We're enchanting the ego. We're saying, ego, remember that? You want more of that good feeling, right? Well, get ready, it's coming. Remember this, remember all the things that led up to that. And that is how you can start a new pattern, a paradigm shift if you want. If you want to, like, you know, replace an old paradigm that ain't working for you. You just want to get the ego appeased. You just want to give a dog a bone, and then you're going to leave it alone. Give a dog a bone, leave a dog alone, bring that shit home, you know, however you want to do it. But that's what I got for you today with the alignment of 5D, 3D, the bridge, 4D, you know, we're time traveling, going to a happy memory, presenting it to the ego. Remember this, guy? We have more of that coming through. You ready? And the ego is like, like salivating over that bone and shit. So I am Oculus, the alien next door. We will chit chat again soon.